Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This a book summary of Simple Rules. How to Thrive in a Complex World by Donald Sull. I'm sure you've heard of the abbreviation KISS. As the saying goes, KISS. We live in a global village where life is becoming increasingly complex, and Simple Rules gives us practical strategies for dealing with this complexity. According to Donald Sull and Kathleen Eisenhart, we can not only survive but thrive in a complex world if we develop a few simple but effective rules. A little-known fact is that KISS is derived from the U.S. Navy's acronym for Keep It Simple, Stupid. Keeping it simple, KISS, is a good rule of thumb to keep in mind. It's a design rule that holds that keeping things simple will save you time and effort in the long run. Keeping things as simple as possible is a key component of good design, and anything extra should be eliminated. An engineer should be able to fix an aircraft with basic tools, according to Kelly Johnson, who coined the acronym. As a general rule, stupid is used to describe a relationship between something breaking or malfunctioning and the level of expertise needed to fix it. KISS, the acronym for Keep It Simple Stupid, defines a bad design as one that can only be fixed by an expert. As the name suggests, KISS stands for Keep It Simple Stupid. But why and how do we require simple rules? It is widely acknowledged that Donald Sull, a former Harvard professor, is a leading expert on business strategy. A senior lecturer at the Sloan School of Management at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, he also happens to be a management guru, which he despises. She is a strategy professor at Stanford University's School of Engineering. With over a decade of experience helping companies worldwide, they have developed a set of highly effective, tried-and-true guidelines to help deal with the most difficult issues at home and at work. We'll take a quick look at simple rules and see why it's so useful in today's world. These 6 simple rules can help anyone be more decisive and perform better. We'll also look at the efficacy of these rules in various fields. To sum it up, if you're struggling with information overload, want to kick a bad habit, or just want to learn more about Japanese honeybees and Tina Fey, this is the book for you. Is complexity exhausting? Before we get started, let me ask you something. Why do you think people don't pay their fair share? Tax rates, a person's income or education, the perceived unfairness of the tax system, or government scrutiny may be factors that you think have something to do with it. Complexity is, of course, a factor, but it is not the only one. The complexity of tax policies was found to be the single most significant predictor of whether citizens evade or pay their taxes, according to a study. 3.8 million words were used in the United States income tax policies in 2010. 3.8 million words as a backdrop. Let's consider this. War and Peace is 7 times longer than this, but there are no interesting plot twists or insights into the human condition to be found in this novel. In other words, if something is too complicated, people become frustrated, lose interest, or simply stop following the rules. Unfortunately, this approach does not always succeed in dealing with the complexity of problems. When confronted with another complex problem, the result can be more confusion than clarity. The problem is that simple rules can be a powerful weapon in the battle against this. While working together in the early 2000s, our authors studied winning and losing strategies for businesses facing the twin challenges of globalization and internet technology. Complicated business environments rewarded companies that developed a few simple rules for linking strategy to implementation. At Intel and Cisco, having a handful of simple rules allowed executives to cut through the noise, make quick decisions and adapt to rapidly changing conditions, while keeping the big picture in mind. Simple rules, then, are they? We can save time and effort by focusing our attention and streamlining the way we process information with these succinct guidelines or shortcut strategies. Simple rules can be applied to a wide range of contexts, from the world of business to the world of sports. We all need a few simple rules in our lives. Rules of thumb can help us deal with adversity. Despite the fact that we live in a complex world, we've discovered that complex solutions aren't always necessary. To be on the safe side, the authors make it clear that simple rules aren't applicable to all situations or situations at all times. The central message of this book is not to throw out the proverbial rule book in favor of an abbreviated list in order to solve all of life's problems. It's not always possible or logical to follow a set of simple rules in all situations. A nuclear reactor powered by a set of simple rules, for example, might not bother you as much. In situations where there are clearly defined boundaries and guiding frameworks, simple rules are useful. They can provide a much-needed antidote to our world's complexity and data overload by helping us survive and navigate our way through it. The paradox of choice showed us that when faced with too many options, Fear creeps in and we worry about making the wrong decision. As a result, we put off making decisions, cling to the tried and true path, or avoid making any decisions at all. The jam experiment demonstrates that consumers become less likely to make a purchase when faced with an excessive number of options. Shoppers were more likely to buy a jar of jam if only 6 varieties were available. Customers were less likely to purchase a jar when given a choice of 24 jams instead of just one. Having a set of simple rules can help us avoid decision fatigue, allowing us to act more quickly and effectively in the face of adversity. Research by Brian Wansink and his team found that dieters who followed a single simple rule shed an average of 1 pound a month from their weight loss efforts. Small business owners who adhere to simple accounting rules are more likely to improve their accounting practices, according to research. Streamlining these businesses was made possible by rules like separate business and personal accounts and pay yourself a set salary every month. Simply because we'd be paralyzed by the sheer mental brainpower required to sift through our world's complicated messiness, our authors believe that developing simple rules is important. It's important to keep the simplest rules simple. Because they're easy to follow and allow for a degree of flexibility, simple rules are effective. To understand the origins of Keep It Simple Stupid, one must look at the rule. Unfortunately, fixing planes was too difficult and necessitated the services of specialists. The KISS rule gave them a framework to work from. Keep things simple. The following are the characteristics of effective simple rules. A maximum of 4 or 5 rules is ideal for this type of game. Applied to a specific task, such as prioritizing medical care, they are tailored to the user's needs and work best. Keeping the number of rules to a minimum makes it easier for us to concentrate on the most important issues. Do not forget that Michael Pollan's 7-word diet mantra is to eat lots of food but not too much. Diabetes, obesity, and heart attacks can all be prevented by following these simple nutritional guidelines. In addition to being concrete and easy to follow, the lack of prescriptiveness in simple rules makes them effective. Do your best isn't one of these simple rules. They give us the freedom to exercise our own judgment and adapt to changing circumstances, especially when people's lives are on the line. They provide clear and practical guidance. As a result, the rules are brief and concise. A framework rather than definitions is provided. They are memorable and tend to focus on prioritization. Prioritization made easier. In a life or death situation, how do you make that call? In addition, how do you allocate scarce medical resources in a war zone? Vacillating and going through a lengthy manual of procedures is not an option in these situations. This is where the application of simple rules can be challenging, but essential. Triage is a term used by doctors. Triage is a French word that translates to sort. To quickly ascertain the seriousness of a patient's condition and the likelihood of recovery, medical intervention is not required. Treatment is prioritized based on the severity of a soldier's injuries. Vital signs and the severity of the patient's condition are assessed in a matter of seconds. Priority is given to the most seriously ill patients. Rather than wasting time trying to save the life of a dying patient, it's better to save the life of someone else. First come, first served treatment of wounded soldiers resulted in a high death toll before triage was instituted in the military. Since then, the survival rate has risen significantly. Even though implementing the simple rules of triage may be emotionally challenging, the framework has prompted more careful prioritization. A few simple rules can help businesses, bees, and communities thrive. These simple-to-understand visual representations of complex processes are a common sight in the world of information design. Zipcar's operation is coordinated in 6 steps. The car-sharing service Zipcar offers an alternative to more traditional methods of renting and owning a vehicle. A community-oriented company, they offer low-cost car rentals and car ownership options. Renter satisfaction with a rental car is heavily influenced by the condition in which the vehicle was returned by the previous driver. To ensure that every customer has a pleasant experience, Zipcar adheres to its simple rules. It's common for people to follow 6 simple rules, like fill her up, no smoking, and report damage. These rules are easy to understand, which saves money and eliminates the need to sign lengthy contracts in fine print. Humans aren't the only ones who benefit from good group dynamics. A honeybee with more wings is better than one with just one. A single honeybee can't defeat a massive hornet if it attacks the honeybee's hive. The bees, on the other hand, can defeat the intruder by thermobulling, a coordinated technique. As the hornet approaches, honeybees buzz around it, causing the insect to overheat and die. Asphyxiation is the hornet's only option for death. Rules like these help to keep society in order on a macro level. Jesuit founder Ignatius laid out a set of simple rules for his followers in the 1500s, known today as the Society of Jesus, or Jesuits. Rule books for other religious orders were in stark contrast, and these were known as the formula for the order. Not when, where, or who to work with were the primary concerns of the Jesuit rules, which emphasized what needed to be done: education and the saving of lost souls. Many priests were liberated as a result of this simplification from the daily shackles of their cloisters, including those imposed by time and place. Consequently, from the initial 10 clergy, their influence spread across all corners of the globe. 3 steps to making better decisions using 3 simple principles. 3 of the simple rules deal with decision-making, while the other 3 are action-oriented. Setting boundaries, prioritizing, and establishing stopping points are all examples of decision-making rules. These rules outline what should be done, or not done, what should be prioritized, and how boundaries should be set. There is no need to spend a great deal of time, effort, or knowledge in order to follow boundary rules. There are times when the stakes are so high that we need to make quick decisions. Criminals follow a simple rule: don't break into houses with a vehicle parked outside, according to a study of how criminals choose their targets. The most reliable indicator of whether or not a house is occupied is a car parked outside of it. In situations where we need to prioritize options that compete for money, time, and attention, prioritizing rules are useful. Triage, for example, uses the prioritization rule. Businesses can benefit from prioritization rules by using them to better distribute engineering resources, better target sales representatives to high-potential clients, and better allocate marketing budgets to the most revenue-generating products. Prioritizing quickly and correctly is important when it comes to investing money because investment options are limitless, but funds run out. The Babylonian Talmud's a man should always place his money, 1/3 inland, 1/3 into merchandise, and keep a third in hand is a simple prioritizing rule that investors tend to rely on. When it comes to the modern money market, this rule means investing in a wide variety of asset classes. Finally, stopping rules tell us when it's time to turn off the power. We need to know when to call it quits on a project or withdraw our funds, so this is critical information. Finally, we must learn to stop. 3 tips for getting things done more effectively. Process rules, as opposed to decision-making guidelines, emphasize efficiency. Using process rules is a good idea because they provide concrete guidelines on how to do something, but in a way that still allows people to be creative, exercise judgment, and adapt to the task at hand. In most processes, a how-to rule is the most commonly used rule. To the contrary, creative types have used how-to rules to improve their skills. As a former cast member of the venerable sketch comedy troupe Saturday Night Live, comedian Tina Fey drew on her own life experiences. In order to better run 30 Rock, she came up with her own set of 9 simple rules. When hiring, mix Harvard nerds with Chicago improvisers and stern never tell a crazy person he's crazy were 2 of these rules. In addition to the 3 process principles, there are 2 how-to rules: coordination and timing. When a large group of people is involved, following a set of coordinated rules is essential. The Japanese honeybees and Zipcar customers, for example, follow these rules. Improvisational situations necessitate quick, creative solutions, and this is where coordination rules come in handy. They say yes and to everything that has been asked of them in order to buy themselves some time. There is no need to be a star on stage to use this rule whenever we feel the spotlight of pressure to conjure a quick and clever answer. The rules of timing tell us when to get things done and when not to. When it comes to deciding when to get some shut-eye, insomniacs, athletes, and corporations can all benefit from these tools. Clocks, calendars, and circadian rhythms can all be used to measure time. Timekeeping rules were viewed differently by Baron Rothschild, who started his bank in the 1760s. "Buy when there's blood on the street," he said when it came to stock and bond trading. How to write your own simple rules in 3 easy steps. 3 steps were identified by our authors as being typical in the high-performing firms they studied for the creation of simple, specific rules. Making acquisitions, or allocating capital, was identified as a critical process. When they discovered the bottlenecks that were stifling their growth, they developed a set of guidelines to address them. In order to develop our own simple rules, we must first identify a critical action, locate the bottleneck, and then implement a simple rule to remove the bottleneck from the system. A simple rule can help you achieve your goal of losing weight, so here's how to put one together. Find out what's most important. Eating less or exercising more could be a part of this. Identify the point of congestion. We can ponder here what is preventing us from achieving our objective. Is it overeating, binging, or overindulging in junk food that is the problem? It's now time to figure out what causes it to happen. Is it possible that people overindulge while watching television? In this case, The bottleneck can be eliminated with a simple rule. To summarize, a simple rule might be, never eat while watching television. It's critical to keep in mind that, like everything else in life, rules are subject to revision. The rulebook isn't always the best guide. Rules don't last forever, our authors say is a final piece of advice. Often, we have to relearn old rules in order to come up with new ones that are more effective. The days when we had to wait until the following week to catch up on our favorite television shows are long gone. The chances of us being able to re-watch an episode if we missed it because we didn't record it were slim. TV shows had one rule: have a stable cast of characters that appear in every episode to make up for missing a few episodes and keep us hooked. Viewers were able to keep up with what was going on because they were able to watch the show. However, things have changed over the last few decades. Because of services like Netflix, you won't have to worry about missing any of your favorite shows. We can go back and watch previous episodes with the click of a mouse. New technologies, new competitors, and shifting business models all contribute to market shifts. To stay relevant, companies must be flexible enough to change with the times, or they risk losing their customers. In closing, here we go. We've all heard the adages about the virtues of sanity. In order to achieve a high level of simplicity and sophistication, you must keep things to a minimum. Simple rules, also known as guidelines, rules of thumb, or heuristics, provide a framework for combating complexity through simplification. There are no recipes in the simple rules, as there are in any other guidelines. They don't tell us exactly what to do. It's not about telling us what to do, but rather how to do it quickly. There is a lot of information out there, and it can be difficult to sort through it all and find what really matters. You are not a slave to complexity. So, what steps are you taking to create your own set of simple rules? Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.